Jennica.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, it's so nice to like officially meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
So I just flew in from New York this morning to come to the Atlanta Film Festival, and this one here, Jennica, is one of the programmers.
Yes.
And so when I was coming down, I was like, I would really like to do a little YouTube video with you.
Aw.
Because I think what a lot of people would love to know is, like, how does the whole film festival circuit work? Like, how does programming work?
Okay.
Like, what do you do?
I'll try to summarize it as best as I can. I'm the docs programmer, so most festivals will usually have several different programmers who work in different areas. So myself, I work in documentary, and then I have my coworkers, John and Astin, who work on the narrative side of things.
Okay.
So basically all the submissions that come in for documentaries, I'm the one who screens them. And then even within documentary, you have documentary feature and you have documentary short. So I sort of screen all of those, and of course I have the help of hired contractors as well as volunteers.
Okay.
So we basically screen all of the films, and we take thorough notes, and we have regular meetings with each other to talk about which ones we think are real standouts. And that
So do you watch all of them then?
we do,
Wow,
definitely.
I always wonder how that like works.
Yeah, definitely. We honor every single submission, and every single submission is seen by at least 2 members of our staff and really
That's
treated
crazy.
with a lot of care. So we definitely want to be transparent about that because we
Yeah.
respect filmmakers and we respect all the hard work that goes into making a film. So everything is carefully considered.
So how many documentary films were submitted, like ish, this year?
I would say ballpark around 450. Yeah.
That's like a lot of hours of watching.
It is a lot of hours of walking. We definitely have to pace ourselves and give ourselves a lot of breaks. And like I said, we do have a team of contractors and a team of volunteers. And we do try to spread it out, so that's not all on one person's eyeballs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So like in the thick of it, like how many do you watch? Like sometimes 2 or 3 a day?
Oh, more.
Really?
More, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Wait, I just think that's so fun that that's like your job is just to
Yeah.
literally sit there and watch one after another after another.
It's so funny that you said that because some people that we've spoken to have been like, I could never do your job and I would never want to do that. But for me, I feel like it's such a privilege to have this job because I love film, and especially documentary film. And I feel it's like such a privilege to be able to watch these films, and we're always talking about how even if your film doesn't end up getting programmed, like it's not to say that it's not a beautiful, strong film. It's just that we only have so many slots.
Well, okay, so many questions then. So how many were submitted, or how many were chosen then out of the ones that were submitted this year?
Okay,
Like
so
450.
I would say ballpark 450 documentaries were submitted. And from that, we have programmed, I believe, 16 features and 20 shorts. So it's a very small percentage.
I am like blown away by the competition of these film festivals.
Yeah, I mean, overall, all the categories, it was like over 7,000 submissions. And if you consider screenplay submissions, it was close to like 9,000. So it's a lot, and a very small percentage actually make it to the festival, simply because we only have a limited, number of slots that we can program.
So, like, when you're curating for the season, is there a certain idea that you're driven by, or do you just let the work speak to you and then choose based off of that?
Yeah, that's a really
Makes
great
sense.
question. Yeah, so we basically screen them sort of from a neutral, unbiased, no preconceived ideas or expectations. And then we just kind of, set aside the ones that we think are unique, and again, it's like so many of the films that we get are well done, but it's just something that sets these apart, whether it's their approach or whether it's what it is that they're talking about. And so we just kind of flag those, and we have lots of discussions and deliberations before we finally make the decisions. And then after that, we create blocks where there's like common themes, like yeah.
So you do it kind of after.
We do it kind of after the fact, yeah. Like this year in the documentaries, there's 3 different blocks, and the way we created those blocks was just sort of like looking at the programs and just deciding like, okay, what are the common themes here? Like, what are they talking about? Like, one of our blocks is called Looking Back. And that collection of films is like all about these subjects who are just like reflecting back either on past experiences or people from their past or just memories that they have that help shape where they are now.
Like sometimes it's crazy then to think that how many people are actually writing and doing things about the same thing.
Exactly. It's fascinating. It's like the collective unconscious,
Yes,
right?
that's what I was looking for. Exactly.
We talk about that a lot. Like there are a lot of films in this year's festival that deal with sexual trauma and like overcoming that sexual trauma. It's really, really interesting. And then, of course, there's like a lot about transgender, identity and transition. A lot of that is covered in the blocks this year. Of course, a lot of stuff about, race relations and racial tensions, because that's an ongoing theme in our society. So I feel like the films and the subjects that they tackle are just a reflection of society as a whole, like what's on our minds, especially in the documentary area, so that's why I love it so much. I have a personal passion for like social justice issues and really kind of find filmmaking as a way of activism, raising awareness and inspiring for change. So
yeah. Did you have a favorite one this year? You don't even have to tell me what it was, but do you have a favorite when you're watching these and you're like,
I have to say that I do, and all I'll say is that the jury chose the one that I was hoping they would choose. So no more spoilers other than that. Okay. That I was very happy with the jury's choice.
Okay. So I feel like there's so many filmmakers who make these projects and start submitting. What advice would you give a filmmaker when they're thinking about where to submit their films?
Sure.
There's so many. Sometimes it's hard to like really know what's the right festival for your film.
Exactly. Yeah. You definitely have to have a strategy, really take your time. And number one, try to identify, well, what do you want to get out of a festival? Like, are you just trying to get distribution? Like, is that your primary objective? Are you just trying to get it screened in front of an audience and see how it's landing and what works and what's not, so that you can take that for your, next project? Like, what is it that you want to get out of that festival? So that first step right there is going to help you narrow it down. I always recommend creating a targeted list. I would say between 10 and 15, and just, create like a range of like local festivals and, more national, like, out of your like immediate geographic area. And also, you might want to look at festivals, for instance, as females, you might want to look at festivals who are particularly interested in female driven content or female, directed, films. There's also festivals who have a focus on like, filmmakers of color or Latinx filmmakers, So you want to look at those things because those are festivals with a specific mission of amplifying those voices.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever opportunity you have to sort of put yourself in a position where you're not competing with as many other submissions, that's going to help you because the pool is smaller. So your chances of actually getting into that particular festival are greater.
But it's crazy even just to hear you say how many submissions Atlanta got this year.
Oh my gosh, it's insane.
That's like daunting to think, like as a filmmaker making a project, just how many submissions are for all these festivals, and they came from all over the world.
Yeah, and I'm always really transparent about that because I hope that when filmmakers hear it, it helps them understand, like, if you don't get in, it's not because your film is not good. Like, I cannot
There's
even
just
tell
a million
you,
other ones.
Yeah, like I cannot even tell you how many beautiful, strong films that we received that we wanted to program that we just didn't have the spots for, And so it's like, if you think about it in that perspective, that we get over 7,000 submissions and we only program like 1% of those, it just shows you that, like, your film was probably really great, it's just we didn't have the room for it. So
even this energy feels like Atlanta. It's just like you're so supportive. It's like even if you didn't get in, it was probably great. But that's true. I feel like we have to support other filmmakers.
Of course. And as an independent filmmaker, I know how much heart and energy and soul goes into it. So it's like, I don't want them to feel that like you submitted your film and it went into this black hole and nobody thought twice about it. Like, just, you should know that it was carefully considered and appreciated so much.
It's nice just to know that there are supportive people, even when you don't see it or feel it.
Yeah.
There's like the love of it is, you hope,
Yeah, you are seen and you are heard, even if you don't, if it doesn't seem that way, trust me, people are watching, people are listening. So,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I feel like we can end on that note. That was so positive and sweet. Well, guys, I messed it up. So we had a great segment. You just will never get to see it. I didn't film it for some weird reason. So we're gonna do take 2. And this is Astin, and she is a programmer at the Atlanta Film Festival along with Jennica.
I am.
And she does all the shorts.
I do all the shorts. This year is my first time with the Atlanta Film Festival. I've been officially with ATLFF since October.
Yeah.
I'm having a blast moderating all sorts of films. Tonight I'll be moderating Angry Black Girl and Her Monster.
I'm so excited for that.
It's a horror. It's
Based on Frankenstein.
It is based on Frankenstein, and it is it's just a really fresh take on it.
And you saw that even though you did shorts, because this is a feature.
What happened was I watched it when we were talking about who's going to moderate what. I wanted to make sure I watched it before I moderated it, because I also wanted to, even though I like to watch things with the audience before moderating, like I did that for a couple of films, so I'm going to watch it again tonight, obviously. I still wanted to know what I was getting into, and I was like, well, I have enough time. Like, it's only an hour and a half, right? Because it's also to the clock when I watched it. Exactly. And so that's why I'm like, brace yourselves, because I did have to like pause it a couple of times. I did have to correct myself. I did. You know, my NEV laptop is not even taking up my whole screen. I'm like, ah.
So as somebody who watches all these shorts, how many did you watch this year?
You know what? It was wild. We didn't record it, but it's great because I didn't actually answer.
Okay.
So I was actually trying to do the math.
Are you still doing the math? Because there's that many.
I'm going to say, give or take, I probably watched somewhere in the realm of 1,000.
What?
I'm going to say in the realm of 1,000, because if I did 100 films a week for about 8 weeks, plus the films that were greenlit that I had to watch on top of that, I'm looking at about, that's about 1050. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, that's so many. Are there any that you ever watch and you have to watch it all the way through, but you're like, you know, in minute 2 that it just isn't the one?
I was just
How
talking
do we
about
deal
that.
with that moment?
I have to watch all the way through. In fact,
but sometimes have you made up your mind minute 2, or even if you like, you just know, because how could you not, right? Like,
I'll say this. If there's been like a volunteer, a programmer, and a contractor, like, or at least sometimes like films have already had like 2 or 3 people score it. If their notes are like, meh, and I'm like at minute 4 or 5, I might scrub till the end.
Yeah.
I might do that. I'll fast forward. But those were very far and few between. I didn't necessarily have to like just be like, oh, this is a bad film, minute 2.
Yeah.
Click to the next one. I do give people the chance, especially like given their artist statements, their director statement, or like, you know, the synopsis they read. Because sometimes what they'll do is they'll have the bio and the statement.
Wow.
And I do my best to read both of them. Sometimes before, sometimes after, depending on what the film is about, depending on what the title is.
Yeah.
I try to let myself be surprised. But if like the film is like, has like so much symbolism that I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'm right about this. Yeah. Then I'll read the statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long are shorts typically? Like 8 to 15 minutes?
So because we're Academy Award qualifying, we have to go by their standards.
Okay.
And a short is anything 40 minutes or shorter.
Wow, the thought of a short being 40 minutes.
I mean, and so
does that happen?
What?
Really?
So many.
Really?
So like, what I try to do, like, especially like, again, this is my first time programming. So, bleeding heart me, I'll be like, John, I know this is kind of long. He's like, it's a 40-minute short, Astin. So I'm giving you tea right now, guys. Like, if you want to make a 40-minute short, go ahead, but it's so much harder to program. It just is.
Yeah.
It just is. Because the average shorts block is about an hour and 15 minutes,
So that
sometimes
takes up
20.
like the majority of the block.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if you're going to make a 40-minute short, like I feel like documentaries can get away with that a lot more than narrative can,
Mm-hmm.
because we still have to make sure that we are programming, like our quota, give or take, is like 40 shorts.
Okay.
So like we can't program 40-minute films.
No.
Yeah.
You can
So
maybe do one or two, I would imagine, at most. Like, how
Like-
many 40-minute films are this year?
I know that Sheltered is an episodic, and what they did was they put all of their episodes into one file, and it amounts to 42 minutes.
Okay.
So that's the one that I know of. Are there? I don't think outside of that. I don't know if there are any 40-minute episodic, but I think our episodic averages to about 26 minutes. Yeah. So we don't have many 40-minute films.
Okay.
Yeah, we try to keep it the sweet spot. Like if you're gonna go long, 25, but obviously the sweet spot is about 15, 16 minutes.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's
Short and sweet.
It's short, sweet.
It's a short, you know what I mean?
5-act structure, 5 minutes each act.
Yeah.
Like it just makes sense.
Yeah. You guys, I just can't thank you enough. I'm just like having such a
Absolutely.
blast, and I like know you have other things to do in the world. Yeah. No, I mean sure.